Hello, America. We have now reached a pivot point in this country, and it's now approaching a point of no return. Will we pass the test, or will we spiral into chaos? We won the last election, but politics will not serve this epidemic. It won't solve it. It won't serve it. We don't know how to fix it, or do we? Right now, we are in the midst of one of the deadliest epidemics the world has ever seen. Now, why would I say that? Well, a disturbing amount of young people today are turning towards two radical ideologies: radical leftism and political Islam. So let's look at some historical facts. Radical leftism has contributed to over 140 million deaths, whether from government-induced famine, murder, political oppression, starvation. It's a death cult, in a similar vein as ISIS or Al-Qaeda. Oh, and speaking of Islamists, in 2000, there were roughly 1.8 million Muslims in the United States. That number is now grown to 5 million, with a growth rate annually of 2%. Islam is projected to be the second largest faith in the United States in about 10 years. Now, that's not what concerns me. Here's the scary part of this. Political Islam is also rising. Hamas sympathizers taking over universities. They create their own parallel communities, and some of them right here in Texas. Texans, you better wake up. They live by their own justice system with Sharia courts, and together, the radical leftists and the Islamists, and even the Antifa anarchists, are all marching side by side in solidarity. But here's the thing. This is not the epidemic. These are all symptoms of a much larger virus, and that virus is a lack, or in some cases, I think, a perversion of education. This is why I am starting The Torch. It's coming in January. We have a very short time to fix this before it's all too late, and seeing things like this doesn't make me feel any better. Watch.
All right.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah, tax the rich. Tax the rich. That was a few days ago at a rally for Mamdani in New York City. And here we have the radicals like Bernie Sanders, AOC, Mamdani screeching like banshees over the virtues of socialism, all the while being backed up by the establishment Democrats like Governor Hochul. Now the crowd erupts into tax the rich. But do they not know how this ends? No. Were the people in the rally really never taught any of this in school? No, they weren't. And Mamdani, who is now in the final week of his mayoral campaign, is the perfect poster child for this dangerous blend of radical leftism and political Islam. Proper education would end this campaign right now, but instead we get glowing interviews by the media like this one.
I think any New Yorker who looks at someone getting an opportunity, who's representing communities that have not been as representative, a Muslim, a young person, a progressive, a democratic socialist, there are so many different communities that are looking to you, and this, I hate to put it on you, as a bit of a Jackie Robinson moment. And I know that probably wields some weight, but man, oh man. What an exciting opportunity.
Okay, what an exciting opportunity. Jackie Robinson, seriously? I mean, I remember that time when Jackie Robinson thought police were all controlled by the Jews. Yeah, that's Mamdani in a nutshell. Watch.
We have to make clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF.
Really? This is who Jon Stewart has, wishes the best? Yeah. But it was always the Jews. What else should we expect from a radical socialist that refuses to condemn political Islam? The lack of education in this country has blown past epidemic levels. It's a major crisis. And it's not just from the socialists. There are people on the right this very minute basically saying the same bullcrap as Mamdani is. Mamdani said the Jews control the police. He sounds, I'm going to use the R word, retarded, but compare that to the random influencer, sometimes on the right. Here are just a few things they're saying. That the Jews killed Charlie Kirk. They say the Jews orchestrated 9/11. AIPAC secretly controls the U.S. government from a dark lair located somewhere in a bunker in an undisclosed location. I get it. I see how the left could be duped into this bullcrap, but they're currently marching side by side with Islamists and waving Hamas flags. But the right, really? You're not even being imaginative here. There are a few of the top global conspiracies regarding Jews over the past centuries. The Jews control the weather. There's a Jewish space laser that, Jews are lizard people, shapeshifters. Jews invented communism to destroy civilization. Do you even know who Karl Marx was? These are actual conspiracies that people believe, but at least they had some imagination. How are these different from what the people are saying today? Same bullcrap, just repackaged from the 1930s. Charlie Kirk has always said it best: Jew hate has no place in civil society. It rots the brain and reject it. Only a society that has been dehydrated at the faucet of knowledge and education could be led down this path. And the people are thirsty. They've been denied anything to drink for too long. They'll drink poison. This is how you get Mamdani for mayor. It's how you get thousands of people to chant tax the rich. It's how people blame the Jews literally for everything and then turn a blind political eye to Islam. They'll sympathize with terrorists like Hamas and blame the Jews for space lasers, but ignore it when the Islamists slaughter Christians in places like Africa. By the way, my charity Mercury One has made it their mission in this epidemic of perverted education, not only to save those Christians, but also to save the Christians all over the world when nobody else would help. We've addressed this at our annual event just a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to share that speech with you for the rest of tonight's show because it touched on everything that we're facing right now. It starts in Afghanistan, where you made a really huge difference, and the things that I said on stage I have not said out loud because I couldn't. But now we will share with you the full story, and that is coming up in just a minute. We are living in a time when the world literally is going to break in half. Donald Trump is doing everything he can to get us out of the clutches of China. We have to save ourselves from the clutches, unfortunately, of ourselves. We'll have more on that in just a minute. Stand by.
So when we all saw that horrible, horrible exit from Afghanistan, I was horrified. It was the most degrading, most un-American thing I've ever seen in my lifetime. We left people behind. We have not discussed this on the air, but you need to know our government was so dishonorable. They kept playing games with. We had every plane that was in Afghanistan was Mercury One. If you saw a plane, I remember seeing the satellite shot down on the airport, and somebody on Mercury One said, "Glenn, those are all your planes." And I'm like, what are you talking about? So every plane in Afghanistan, we had contracted, okay? So every plane that took off, unless it had the United States of America on the tail, was Mercury One. And we had so many problems with the State Department. They were so unbelievably dishonorable. The first plane, they kept taking our people. We'd put them on the plane. Then they'd come and they'd collect the passports and they'd hand the passports to the Taliban and say, everybody off the plane. Which then we had to take those people and put them into hiding in safe houses. And this happened over and over and over again until finally, what do you want? And the response was, the first plane that comes out, we get to fill. The United States government. We get to fill. And we filled that plane with people in our uniform, in our allies' uniforms that they had left behind. So you have some idea. This wasn't just an airlift of people. This was the largest airlift in an evacuation ever done by individuals, a non-government, in the history of the world. And as I said earlier, I'm a recovering alcoholic DJ. I have no idea what I'm doing. But God did. God did. All you have to do is just stand and do exactly what he said. Nothing more. Nothing less. Just do exactly. We all have talent. My only talent is, well, I'm not sure. But one of the things I think I'm pretty good at is telling a story. And all I'm asked to do is just tell the story to get people to understand and connect that problem with their heart. And then somebody who hears it, they might have a skill of, I can get that airplane. I can give $10. I mean, the guy we just talked about him, the guy who is running these operations for us, when I got onto a plane in New York to go to the UAE, we had no idea how we were even going to get a plane on the airport, okay? The government was running it. I go from New York, and he said, Glenn, I don't know if we're going to be able to get anybody out. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't even know who's running the airport. By the time I landed, I call him up, and I said, what's the latest? And he said, you're not going to believe who's running the airport. And I said, who? And he said, me. God knows what he's doing. It is amazing to watch him. So you know, Jawad is here. Where are you, Jawad? Okay. This is an amazing man who has been on the ground over and over and over again. I love you like a brother. So this is an amazing guy. He happened to be, in that deal I said, I'm in a country, I can't tell you where it is. I can tell you now, it's the UAE. And the UAE, through grace of God, said, we'll take all the planes. So you know, our planes were being turned around by the United States government in air. We were taking them, and we were taking them to different countries, all of it arranged. We had taken them to different countries, and the United States would call and say, we can't vouch for anyone on that plane. And they would close the airport. So we had to call anybody, will you take planes of refugees? The UAE stood up and said yes. When I got there, we had thousands of people on a tarmac. And they were like, you got to get these people out. And I had to call, I think it was the ambassador, wasn't it? The ambassador to the UAE. And like, he doesn't know who I am. And I called him up and I said, Ambassador, I know this doesn't mean anything to you, but I give you my word, we will not leave these people on your tarmac. I promise you, we are honorable people and we will get them to another country. Please just keep taking these planes. He did. We worked many years to keep that promise. Just this last year, the last 34 people that were still there at the UAE, the Taliban had come to the UAE and said, these 34 people all need to come back with us. And the UAE said, okay. We get a call. I don't even know how it happens, but somehow or another it gets all the way to the president. And the president says, that's not going to stand. Within 30 minutes, he's on the tarmac. And the representatives from the UAE come up to him and said, I don't know how this happened. In the history of our country, we have never returned passports. Your people are allowed to go.
Seasons are shifting, the air is getting cooler and the days are getting shorter, and while you're switching out of the wardrobe or putting on an extra blanket for the bed, something else is happening, something you don't see until it's already inside. Out there in the leaves, the mulch, and the crawl spaces, pests are making their move. The spiders, the ants, the silverfish, all of them looking for the same thing, a warm place to hide out for the winter. And unless you've made it clear they're not welcome, that place just might be your house. Moxie Pest Control knows exactly how this plays out because they've been through it 1,000 times, and they don't just show up and spray something around your house. They plan, they strategize, they build a perimeter. They protect what's yours from everything that isn't yours. This isn't just about bugs, it's about the line between what's out there and what belongs inside your home. Seasons may change, but peace of mind doesn't have to. Right now, you can celebrate 25 years in the business. Get your first pest control service for $25. Visit moxieservices.com/Beck and use the promo code Beck.
And right now, Christians under persecution, it is happening at a higher rate than ever before in all of human history. Just this last year in Nigeria, 7,000 Christians were killed. 7,000 Christians were killed. In China, they are rounding Christians up. In Africa, in the Middle East, we have a lot of work to do. But these are our literal brothers and sisters, and they are so much better as Christians than most of us because we've never had to fight for it. We've never had to stand for it. I was in a church in the Middle East, in Syria or Iraq, I can't remember, and I'm in this church. The ISIS had targeted that church because they knew they were going to have a service in that church at 7 p.m. I arrive around 6, and I'm hearing that they're targeting, and I'm like, okay, so where are we going? And I get there, and I'm like, where are we going? And they're like, I don't know, you can sit in that pew. And I'm like, what? And they had targeted the church, and they told me with joy, we're not going anywhere. I mean, we are not going to back down. We know who our God is. We know who we serve. And if they blow us up, we'll be with God in 25 minutes. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm from America. We can hold off on that one. They're amazing with their faith because they've had to struggle with it. We haven't struggled, but believe me, the struggle in America is coming. It is coming. Charlie Kirk will not be the last. Charlie was an amazing guy, an amazing man. And what he did was something I do very little of. Listen. Just listen. And I listened to some of these students, and I want to tell you, great hope, but significant warning. I don't care if you're for Israel. I don't care if you like Israel, you agree with their policies, you like the way they fight, they don't fight, whatever. I'm not an Israeli, okay? That's up to them. But to deny the Jewish people their right to live is completely different. I had people encounter on that talk that actually said to me, I said, look, I don't care if you're for Israel or not. You can disagree with AIPAC, whatever. That's fine. That's fine. That's stuff we can talk about. But you cannot tell me that killing children, women, raping women, setting them on fire, and slaughtering them on October 7th is right, that you are okay with that. That's evil. And the response from several in the audience was, prove that wasn't the Jews doing that. And these were from conservatives. We are not aware of the evil that is in our own home. It is a growing danger. And again, I want you to know, I really don't care about, you can disagree with their policies all day long. Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. But you need to make the decision now, because it's going to get harder to make the decision with every day that goes by. You need to make the decision now. When they come for the Jew, will you stand or not? I am not talking about Israel. I am talking about people coming for the Jew once again. I, for one, will not sit down. You must make that choice tonight. When they come, because they will come for the Jew and then they will come for the Christian. Will you stand? We We are facing, and this is so clear, clearer than ever, and I honestly don't know how people can't see this, but the difference between light and dark, life and death, good and evil has never been more clear. When we are dealing, look at what's happening in Canada with MAID. We are dealing with a death cult. They celebrate death. From the organizers on the streets to the Islamists in our own country and all across the Western world that do not wish to integrate with us, to the abortion lobby, to all the stuff you see, it is a celebration of death. The Lord said to the Jewish people when they went into the promised land, choose life. But that means we all have the choice. And I can't urge you strongly enough. Charlie's death, I hope, woke you. These are not going to get easy. It's not going to get easier. It's going, however, to be more important and more glorious when you choose life. But we can stand together and choose life. And I can disagree with you on Israel. I can disagree with you on tax policy. I can disagree with you on everything. As long as we're all looking and saying, I know the difference between good and evil. I know the difference between life and death. And I know who I serve. I feel that there's a few things that the Lord is asking me to do. And I think today was actually a turning point for me. I had a blessing, and in the blessing, I felt something. I feel like, and I'm not going to tell you what it is now, but I really feel for the first time in my life, I know why I was born. And I am 62 years old. And for the first time in my life, I feel I know why I was born. Do you? That is for all of us to beg the Lord. Why was I born? Because the Lord does not make mistakes. He's not up there just printing up souls and like, I dropped one on the floor, give him a body anyway. I mean, all of us were designed for a reason and born for a reason. And we were born in this country at this time. I actually feel sorry for my father. He was just young enough to miss World War II, and he thought that was fortunate. He tried to get in during Korea. He had flat feet, so he couldn't serve in Korea. He kind of skated through the 1960s because we lived in the Pacific Northwest, and there were like 4 black people up there. So there was no, race wars or riots or busing. It didn't happen up in Washington State like it did in the rest. So he was never pushed up against the wall. And for most of my life, I thought that was fortunate. I thought that was good. But I wonder who my dad would have been had he been pushed against the wall all the time. If he had been challenged his whole life, if he had to stand up, if he had to make a choice, I will stand, I will speak, or I will sit down and be quiet. We have the blessing to be forced to make that decision. We have the blessing to have to use everything in our soul, to examine everything in our life, to question, why am I here? What do I actually believe? Why do I believe it? Why is it important? Why should I stand? Charlie was one of the greatest men I know, and I didn't realize it until after he died. Every time I met Charlie, every time I'd see him, he knew something new. He was stronger. He was better. He's, I think, one of the only men I know that I saw as a teenager, up until he was 31, who I think actually lived the life that we are all supposed to live with the Lord. He challenged himself. He learned something new. He got better every day. He served the Lord more distinctly and more obedient every day. He stood exactly where he was supposed to stand, and it was the worst tragedy ever. It's one of the worst things I have seen in American history that personally affected me, but it's also one of the most glorious things I've ever seen. Because he stood in place and did exactly what the Lord told him to do, look at the miracles that came from it. If you don't see this revival that is happening in America, David and I have been praying for this for 25 years. You've been praying for it for 25 years before me. People have been praying for a revival in America. The Chinese people are praying for us to have a revival. We have to remember who we are. And it happened because one guy lived his life the way he was supposed to, had the cojones to say every day, I testify of Jesus Christ. I testify of the atonement. I testify of redemption. I testify of God's love for me and for you. I testify, I testify, I testify. And because he did that, when evil set itself on a rooftop, the Lord took everything that Charlie did and magnified it 1,000,000 times over. The new number of how many people watched it, David just told me. They've just done some calculations. They believe that that funeral was seen now worldwide by over 1 billion people. 1 billion people. Do we have, JP, or who has the book that you have? Let me show you something. We just got this in our library, and I just want to show you this real quick because this will show you the historic time that we live in. This is a Bible from 1792. Bibles were very, very expensive in the day, okay? You had to set the type, you had to bind it, you had to print it, everything else. So they would rely on people that had clout and money to put the initial money in so the Bible could be printed, and then other people could buy it at a more reasonable rate. This Bible, when you open it up, the front page tells you who paid for this Bible. And we just started doing research on it because we just got it. And in the front, who paid for this? One of the first Bibles printed legally in America by the United States. And who paid for this? President of the United States, George Washington. Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton. Secretary of War, Henry Knox. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Jay. Okay? Here's what's fascinating about this Bible. We don't know this for a fact yet, but we're doing our research. We believe this is the last time a gathering of that kind of people in office testified of the truthfulness of the Bible and the gospel of Jesus Christ. This was the last time that happened until Charlie Kirk's memorial.
So many people living with everyday pain think they're just stuck with it. I mean, it is what it is. But it doesn't have to be. Let me tell you about Jeannie from Texas, her relief factor story. She said that she was out for a walk when she was unfortunately hit by a car, and she tried everything for her lower back pain. Nothing worked. Well, her husband heard about Relief Factor because he listens to some brilliant person. And Jeannie said, it's worth a try. Well, Relief Factor worked beautifully for her. Her pain decreased, her range of motion increased, and she said, being grateful is an understatement. So if you're living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, can help you feel better and live better every single day. Just try their 3-week quick start. It's $19.95 in a few weeks, even maybe a few days. You'll feel the difference Relief Factor can make. You don't have to be stuck living with pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call the number 800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800, the number 4-RELIEF. It's relieffactor.com.
And we can't just leave it as a revival. There is a difference between a revival and an awakening. Revivals happen. People start to find God, and then they go in and they pray and they go to church, and it's all wonderful, and everybody's talking about the scriptures, but nobody does anything with it. The difference between a revival is the next step. I'm awake. So I know what that means. I know what Christ is teaching me to do, and I will take the action steps, and I will put them to play in not only my own life, but in culture and the government. I will look at what Christ teaches me about all of these cultural issues, about all of these legal issues. I will see what the Bible is saying. I will understand it, and I will fight for those principles because they're biblical. Out of all of the preachers that we have, David and Barna just did a survey. How many preachers total? 384,000 preachers, okay, in America. 384,000 preachers. How many of them are biblical that will actually answer the call and say, yes, I believe the Bible is the true word of God, and it's true? How many? 107,000. So now we're down to 107,000. Out of those 107,000 that recognize the truth and will now say, this is the truth. I know the Bible speaks about things that are happening in the world today, and I will speak about it at church. What's that number, David? 17,000 preachers. 2%. 2% of the preachers will actually talk about what God says about homosexuality, same-sex marriage, gender dysphoria, any of it. Any of the things everyone is struggling with right now, our pulpits are silent. How is that possible? You know why our kids are killing themselves? Because there is no truth. They have no ground to stand on. There is no rock. Everything is sand. The water comes in, and what happens? The sand washes it away, and they are struggling to stand. They will kill themselves because they don't know what truth is. Truth exists. It exists, and we must hold the hands up to those who will speak the truth. So I am announcing tonight one of the things that we are going to be doing next year, and we'll be announcing it in the next few weeks. In 2026, David and I did this years ago in a sort of way. We were teaching the American principles, and we went around all across the country, and we did, I think it was a 1-day or 2-day event, and we are going to be announcing the American Awakening Tour. And what this is going to be, and it's sketched out, thumbnail sketch, Rob McCoy, Jack is going to be helping us with this, and some of the 2% of the preachers. And we are going to talk about the things that are happening in America, and we are going to teach Americans what the Lord says. Now, how do you enact that in your life? And then encouraging people to take on a mentor, disciple someone. It doesn't matter if you just know it. We have to find the people that will mentor people that can carry on to the next generation. We might know it, but does the next generation know it? And what do they do with it? How do you set this up? So we're going to be doing that. We're also, I am going to be announcing at Mar-a-Lago the next phase of my career. I have, when I started The Blaze, there was no one was doing podcasts like this. Megyn Kelly wasn't on, Ben Shapiro wasn't on. Nobody, when I went, Fox News, Roger Ailes said to me, the internet's a fad. The internet is a fad. And you're not really going to start that network thing on the internet, are you? And I said, I think you're wrong. And nobody was doing it. And so my goal was just to open up the door and say, look, you can do this. Well, now everybody is doing it. And I feel like my job there is done. And I'm going to be announcing in a couple of weeks something that I have talked briefly about called The Torch, which is the next phase of my career, which is going to be focusing specifically, look, I have all the fame I could ever want. I have all the money I could ever want. I have everything I have ever wanted. I don't need all of this stuff. That's not, you get to be, over 60, you start going, geez, how many days do I have left? And you start to go, I think I've wasted a ton of time. It's not about me. It's not about any of this stuff. And so, again, the torch will be more of holding people's hands up and highlighting what people are doing and giving people permission to hope and to do. We are going to be highlighting, Mercury One is going to be playing a very large role in this. We are going to start documenting all of these trips where we're saving Christians. And we're going to show people what you can do. We're going to start teaching history. I can't thank our Secretary of Education enough for being here today. Our hope for success for you. Our hope for success for you is really, truly this high, because education, we miss education and we miss faith, and we're done. We have to educate our children. So some of the things we're going to do, if I may, Linda has been working on putting classes, AP classes on video, and I have been asked by Prager to host some of those. So I've cut several of these videos, and they will be available for all AP classes through the Department of Education. And it will be... And it is using all of the artifacts that David at Wall Builders, Mercury One, and I have all collected over the years. It's one thing to argue with me, it's another to argue with Jefferson in his own handwriting. But we will be doing education. We will be highlighting people. Tanya and I have, and I want to say this as a challenge, nothing else but a challenge. Tanya and I have tithed 10% for 25 years now, because I didn't believe tithing would make me happy. And, it's like, go ahead, prove him wrong. Okay, you think giving 10%, I give 10% to my agent, I'm not happy. I give 10% to God, and it turns out you're happy. Like, all kinds of things happen, okay? So if you haven't tithed, please tithe, 10%, tithe, give it first. But our new venture, we are going to be, in addition, tithing on everything we do, an additional 10%, and it will go to not only Mercury One, but Wall Builders and Operation Barbecue. You might be selected for a month. We are going to hold up the arms of people who are serving people in every single way we can, and we will be putting our money where our mouth is, because we believe you are servants of God, and we believe it is our responsibility to help you do that. We're also going to continue with the earthquakes and the hurricanes. I mean, not that we're causing them, but... And if you don't behave yourself, earthquakes and fires and hurricanes. And next month, I hope to encourage my audience, and I encourage you, with the government shut down, there are a lot of military that are struggling. And they're making it, and they're getting paid, but I mean, imagine the stress of not knowing if that next check is going to come in. Our food banks are empty. And I'm going to be urging everyone to please donate to the food banks, especially where there are military bases. We must take care of the people who are taking care of us. And it's not the government's responsibility to do it. It is also ours.
You and I have learned, sometimes probably the hard way, that the pharmacy counter is only as reliable as the supply chain behind it. There is a moment, there's a storm, a strike, a border closure, or just, run on inventory. Maybe you're traveling and, your child gets sick and you don't have access to a doctor right away. Well, Jace Medical exists so you're not living at the mercy of out of stock. It happens through a simple online consultation. Licensed medical professionals review your history, and where appropriate, Jace will prescribe the right medicine for your Jace case. It's a thoughtfully curated supply of emergency antibiotics and essentials packed with clear doctor-written instructions so you understand which medication is which and how to use it and how it's dosed. Jace is continuing to work hard to expand their lineup so you can have total preparedness solutions tailored to your family needs. So go there now. Jace, JASE.com. Enter the promo code Beck at checkout. Get a discount. Jace.com, promo code Beck.
What George AI is, we have taken all of the founding writing from the founders. We have taken all the documents that we have. We have taken all of the sermons from the pulpits where we learned those first principles, or they learned those first principles. We've taken the scriptures, we've taken the Federalist Papers, everything we can. And now, because unlike AI that has to memorize the entire world history, we have put it in a box, and it only has to memorize the things we are putting in, and we are only putting their writings in. Come next year, you are going to be able to have a conversation with our founders. And you are going to be able to say, this story out here, what is causing this? What principles have we lost, have we met? And George AI will tell you, this is a violation of these principles. You want to fix this? Restore these principles, okay? It's going to be amazing. You'll be able to have a conversation and say, I have a 10-minute ride to school with my kids every day. I need a podcast that'll teach them civics, and they're 8 and 10 years old. They don't know anything about the Constitution. I need a podcast that is 7 minutes long, and I need 2 weeks of them. It will take civics and teach it to your children with you as a podcast in my voice or George's voice. Wait until you hear George Washington speak. It's a little freaky. But it will teach your kids, and then it will be able to ask your kids, and so it will find the holes in their knowledge and recreate the next podcast to make sure it emphasizes that. We are going, my next step was, first one, let's destroy the mainstream media and show people that you can do it a different way. And I can say this with Linda McMahon sitting here because I think she shares some of this sentiment. Let's destroy the way education is happening in America and show America it can be done a better way. I want to thank you again for coming. I want to tell you that my belief that America survives, and thrives is higher than it's ever been. But it is that way because I have seen miracles in the last month plus. I have seen miracles. Do you know who else was shot in Butler besides President Trump? George Washington. Okay? History repeats itself, it rhymes, and God protects. God's will be done. Whether we do what we're supposed to do or not, he's not going to be thwarted. And we are seeing amazing things happen with Charlie's unfortunate, horrible, tragic death. Good things are coming. People are waking up. And we are only scratching the surface. God hasn't shown us everything. I promise you, we will see Moses-style miracles in our times. It is coming. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is not neutral when it comes to evil. And we will see his whole arm bared. I just want you to, I want to leave you with this one thought. I want you to ask, because I've torn myself apart. After Charlie's death. Have I done what I was supposed to do? Where have I dropped the ball that Charlie did not? What are the things that I've said? I'm tired. I don't want to do that. Because I know when the Lord asks me to do something, I know the difference between my voice and his, because my response when it's his voice is usually, oh crap, not that. I don't want to do that. That's when you know it's his voice. And how many times have I said, tomorrow, Lord, tomorrow. You pile up enough tomorrows, you will end up with nothing but empty yesterdays. Let us ask ourselves every day, you want me to do this? And if you doubt, ask yourself, if not me, who? Who has the talents that you were specifically designed for? Who has the things in the soul, the knowledge, the expertise, the things that you were born to exploit and to share? If you won't do it, who will? And if not right now, when is a better time? Let us mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor with the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence. Because this story is true, and we are living proof, and we are being asked to write the next amazing chapter. Thank you for coming.